Blue Apron is the #1 fresh ingredient and recipe delivery service in the country. For less than $10 per person per meal, Blue Apron delivers seasonal recipes along with pre-portioned ingredients to make delicious home-cooked meals. You can choose from a variety of new recipes each week, or you can let the Blue Apron culinary team surprise you. They don't repeat recipes within a year. You won't get bored. Right now, they've got summer vegetable and egg paninis. They've got the soy-glazed pork and rice cakes with bok choy and marinated green beans. Customize your recipes each week based on your preferences. Blue Apron has several delivery options, so you can choose what fits your needs. No weekly commitment, so you only get deliveries when you want them. Each meal comes with a step-by-step, easy-to-follow recipe card and pre-portioned ingredients and can be prepared in 40 minutes or less. Guaranteed. Blue Apron's freshness guarantee promises every ingredient in your delivery arrives ready to cook, or they'll make it right. So check out this week's menu and get your first 3 meals free with free shipping by going to blueapron.com/Bomani. You'll love how good it feels and tastes to create incredible home-cooked meals with Blue Apron, so don't wait. That's blueapron.com/Bomani. Blue Apron, a better way to cook.
Welcome to the Right Time Podcast. The Right Time with Bomani Jones.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Right Time. My name is Bomani Jones. Thanks for listening on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. We are presented by Progressive Insurance. You can send us a tweet at the 1-800-Flowers.com Twitter feed. That is at Bomani_Jones. Got some of that Monday night football action last night. They gave us 2 games. At least rumor has it you gave us 2 games. I got a job, baby. I ain't have much for you on that second one. I researched it, though. Checked it out. Watched some GIFs. I believe they call them GIFs. See what was going on there. But the first gift, we had Adrian Peterson making his return to Minnesota, which resulted in things that you don't see that much from the Saints, like running in the I formation. And then you saw something on the other side, which, I mean, we really don't have that many examples of, which is Sam Bradford being absolutely lights out. So the thing with Sam Bradford has always been that he'll complete a lot of passes for you. They just won't go very far, right? Like, if you look at his numbers off a stat sheet, they are very Alex Smithian, right? If I'm not mistaken, let me go make sure I get a good look at this all the way. There was a long stretch of Sam Bradford's career where he did not average 7 yards per passing attempt at all. Now, Bradford is one of these guys, though, that you can go point to and try to be like, okay, who has he had to throw to? Who has he played with? So forth and so on, right? Like, I get it when people make the decision that that's where they're going to go with Bradford. It makes sense. But, man, we've never seen him be great. And my fault, 7.0 in 2016, 7.0 in 2015. Before that, all those years with the Rams, never averaged more than 7 yards an attempt. And 7.0 is not really like lighting it on fire. Dude, I'm looking at Sam Bradford back there in the pocket. He got the movement that you want. He's throwing the fakes. He's getting the ball into, dare I say, tight windows. Then he got out there, was throwing the ball down the field. It was like, yo. So all these cats like Kean who've been telling me that I've been too hard on Sam Bradford, is it possible that they were actually correct and Sam Bradford might be a little bit good? Is that the case? Because I don't know that much about the rest of these here Vikings, by the way. Stephon Diggs, I was familiar with Stephon Diggs coming in here. But Shannon, do you view Stephon Diggs the way I view Stephon Diggs, the ghost of 5-star past?
To Maryland, right?
Yes, he is. He was top 10 player in America coming out of high school. But you know those guys, right? The goes to 5-star pass where the draft comes around and you start hearing people talk about how I'm really kind of excited about that guy. You're like, psh, you late. We've been ready for that dude. It just never quite, came together. Maryland, one of those schools that's like, ooh, really fast guy on the outside. We just won't get him the ball that much. And there, what's his name? Darius Hayward-Bay went to school. And every year they were telling you that Darius Hayward-Bay was going to jump off. They just never gave him the ball. And then Al Davis was like, fine, I'll do it. And he's like, what? Huh? How? Wait, what?
Just what's his 40?
Yes, that's all I need to know. I don't care if he can catch a cold. We will take him. But so if you're the Vikings and you get a $120 out of Dalvin Cook, fantasy football, glad to have him. If you get a $120 out of Dalvin Cook and you're getting games like this out of Sam Bradford, granted, against the Saints and their secondary, which somehow is worse than it has been before, which is pretty staggering considering how bad they've been in previous years. But hey, man, if this is the guy that you got, you're in a pretty decent situation here, right? The Vikings defense came through. They played a strong one against the Saints. Because one thing about the Saints you generally assume is they're going to move down the field, right? They're going to put some points on the board. They were playing on turf. Now, granted, they weren't at home, but still, you would have expected a little more out of them, except, that Saints offensive line, Shannon. Woo! Tom Savage is out there looking at that like, I don't want no parts of that one. Because then they the left tackle's out, and then they put a rookie in behind him, and then didn't that dude get hurt?
Funny when you brought that up. We talk so much about the lack of offense and the poor QB play, but one thing I've noticed this first week, Bo, the offensive line play in the NFL has been bad.
A lot of dots, not a lot of lines, a lot of dots, a lot of unconnected groups. But I mean, they were getting back there on Drew Brees in a way that I just did not recall seeing previous to that. How many sacks did the Vikings wind up having by the time it was all said and done? The Vikings they say only had 1 sack. I feel like I saw a lot more sacks, Shannon, and I stopped watching after the third quarter. Like, am I missing something here?
It was a lot more hurries, yes.
They were in his, what they call it, kitchen. They were all up in his kitchen. So we're going to get excited about the Vikings. It's Overreaction Tuesday, I suppose. We're going to get excited. Dalvin Cook, he got it going. Stephon Diggs, he was looking good. And Shannon, were you aware of Adam Thielen, a.k.a. the local favorite?
No, that was a new one for me. I'll be honest. I didn't know too much about him.
Did you know he had gotten a contract extension? Because I didn't know that either. This is when you realize you haven't actually been watching a team play. When not only they're like the local favorite. I'm like, so was he playing the slot? And now I find out not only is he a starter, but he got his money. Ooh, my bad. Was I profiling? Did I profile? Is that what happened? By the way, how much do you think that Laquan Treadwell be hating on Thielen? He aight. I mean, I can do everything he do. They just like him because he, you know what I'm saying, he from around here. Yeah, that's it. But he's going down the field, man. Like, Thielen's one of these guys that blows people's minds because they're going to try to make him gritty and a possession receiver when no, in fact, he's big and fast. Right? Because was he about 6 foot, about 200-something pounds, and he's going down the field, right? Like, he is going to go get it. That dude is strong. So if they've got him and Diggs on either side, the Vikings may have convinced me that they have a chance to win their actually not that good division. So who else in that division? The Lions, the Packers, and the Bears. They can win this. That seems fair to say that this seems to be a team that can win that division. If the defense is playing anywhere near decent and Dalvin Cook turns out to be what I think Dalvin Cook is going to be, and I put my money where my mouth is when it comes to Dalvin Cook. I'm expecting him to carry my fantasy football team. So if that don't tell you how good I think he is, I don't know what does. They seem to have a little something going there. And again, Bradford, 27 for 32 for 346 yards. Shannon, is that the best game you've seen Sam Bradford play without an Oklahoma jersey on?
Yes. Unequivocally, yes. This, I don't know, Bo. I know it's only one game, but this could be the season
that he puts it all together.
That Sam Bradford finally puts it all together.
I am willing to entertain the possibility that is true because quarterbacks have all the time in the world to have the season to where they put it all together. Hey, Matthew Stafford, this might be the season for him where he puts it all together. I was watching him. You guys know I'm hard on Stafford, but I was watching him and he looked like he looked good. On Sunday. He looked good. Bradford, I felt the exact same way. Like, if I was to come in and to scout that team and look at that quarterback, you didn't give me any numbers or anything else, just let me look at him in the pocket. No, man, I'd say, hey, this team has a good quarterback. And I've never been that wild about Bradford. They got caught in that tricky situation last year where they had to give up all those picks in order to get them. But I tell you this, Sam Bradford have another game like that, what in the world is Teddy Bridgewater going to do? Like, where is there for him? What is there? In fact, Shannon, that's a fascinating question, right? Everybody talks about what they're going to do with these quarterbacks, right? Like, we don't have enough good quarterbacks. Does it not sound like pretty soon Teddy Bridgewater is going to be out there and available? And would that not be the most fascinating free agent quarterback situation you could think of? Because I have no idea where Bridgewater is physically, right? Like, that knee injury was supposedly really, really bad. One they thought they might endanger his career. That's why they gave up 2 first-round picks in order to get Sam Bradford, because when it happened, they weren't sure if Teddy Bridgewater was going to play again. But, Shannon, if there's a world where people talk about paying Kirk Cousins $25 million a year for multiple years on a contract, what do you do when Teddy Bridgewater's out here? Because Teddy Bridgewater is going to be out here.
And, of course, there are going to be questions about his health, but I can almost say with certainty that Bridgewater is better than some of these starting quarterbacks out here, and he's a lot better than some of these backup quarterbacks. But then I thought to myself, well, when has that stopped the NFL before from bringing in a quarterback who's better than other quarterbacks in the league?
But hold on, let's think about this, though. How many quarterbacks could Teddy Bridgewater beat out on one leg? We're talking about one-legged Teddy Bridgewater. Who you got, Shannon? One-legged Teddy Bridgewater or three-legged Mike Glennon with a third leg is his neck? Get your mind out the gutter.
Give me Teddy.
Yeah, say get your mind out the gutter, people. One-legged Teddy Bridgewater versus two-legged Blake Bortles. One-legged Teddy Bridgewater versus two-legged Tom Savage. Because to be fair, one-legged Teddy Bridgewater got as much chance of escaping the pass rush in Houston as two-legged Tom Savage. I think we'd agree on that. Like, I feel like they need to let punt returners decide if they going to play quarterback for the Texans, because that's the kind of quickness you're going to need to try to save yourself in that backfield. Let me see what else we got here. I still think I'll take Andy Dalton over one-legged Teddy Bridgewater. Like, I still think I'm there. One-legged Teddy Bridgewater or Scott Tolzien, though. All right, I understand this. One-legged Teddy Bridgewater is playing in the shotgun, so he's got a little time to survey the field before he throws the ball on one leg. So, yeah, that's about where I'm at. I'm not so sure I would take Trevor Siemian over one-legged Teddy over Trevor Siemian. I thought Trevor Siemian appeared to play pretty well, even though I didn't actually watch the game. There we go. So, yeah. Shannon, let's say this. Would you take one-legged Teddy Bridgewater over some of these starters? Yes or no? I feel like that's the poll.
Poll, we got it.
Who knew it? Minnesota's sitting on the greatest treasure trove of quarterbacks, even though one of their quarterbacks only got one leg. 888-729-3776. That's our telephone number. Coming up next, we got somebody on hold with his story about why he quit playing football. It's where y'all call in and talk about that time he got hit so hard you decided not to play football. It's always very entertaining. Also, what would you do if Adrian Peterson looked at you like that? You listen to ESPN Radio, the ESPN app, Sirius XM Channel 80.
The Right Time with Bomani Jones.
Okay, keep your eyes closed.
Okay.
I want to show you my first ever painting.
All right.
Okay. Open your eyes.
Oh, that's a lot of colors and shades.
So be honest. What do you think?
Well, I like how if you switch to Geico, you could save hundreds of dollars on car insurance.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Here, why don't I hold your paintbrush while you call them?
Geico, because saving 15% or more on car insurance is always a great answer.
The Right Time with Bomani Jones.
We're talking about what happened in the Vikings game against the Saints. Adrian Peterson, of course, was the interesting subplot as first game back in Minnesota. Not his first game back in Minnesota, his first game out of Minnesota, or at least his first game out of a Minnesota Vikings jersey. My man Myron Metcalf was like, you got to remember that the Vikings only won one playoff game when Adrian Peterson was there, so it's not like Emmitt Smith coming back to Dallas. And I'm like, nah, but it's still Adrian Peterson. Like, he's been the face of this franchise, in effect, for about 10 years. How many all-time players for the Vikings have been better than Adrian Peterson, Shannon? Like, I'm trying to think off the top of my head. Like, I can say the best of Randy Moss is maybe the better than the best of Adrian Peterson, but Adrian Peterson ran for 2,000 yards coming off an ACL tear. Like, who are we putting out here? Like Alan Page? Is that what we talking about? Who we got? Better Vikings than Adrian Peterson. Fran Tarkenton?
Was going to be the only other one I would have suggested.
And Fran Tarkenton kind of, he played for the Giants there for a stretch, so he doesn't, entirely belong to them in this way. Like, no, this is a big deal. Adrian Peterson coming back. He didn't play well. 6 carries for 18 yards. None of us really have any idea how good Adrian Peterson still is, because everything would indicate that he's over the hill, except for the fact that you go tell Adrian Peterson that he's over the hill, because I don't think I'm going to be the one to go tell Adrian Peterson that he is over the hill. But we did see Adrian Peterson give Sean Peterson that look, boy. That look. I don't even know how to describe that look. I just know when Adrian Peterson gave me that look, I felt like in my living room I need to stop doing whatever it was I was doing that made Adrian Peterson look like that and look at me like that. Like, I didn't, like, why do you stop looking at me like that, man? He gave that look to Sean Payton. Sean Payton, I give him this, man. Sean Payton got some gangster in him. Sean Payton gave him that look right back. And yeah, I know Sean Payton been the coach there for a long time. He the man in charge, everything else. Every last one of us, Adrian Peterson give us that look. We're like, hey, come on, AD, everything cool, man? Why you gotta look at me like that? Why you got to do that? And to each of those dudes' credit, right? Each of them didn't even remember that it happened, right? Here's Adrian Peterson. You're like, issues? What issues?
No, any issues? No, I don't know what clip you're talking about, but
you'll see it.
Yeah,
it's the one with the death stare.
The death stare. Well, one thing I said to him was, hey, got to run this inside zone, and we came out and we ran it. So, there's no conflict. Let's not try to spin it like it is. There's no conflict. I got a lot of respect for Coach Payton and his offense and what he's a great mind. So we're going to learn from this. The Vikings are going to learn from what they can learn from offensively and defensively, and coaching staff and our coaching staff will do the same thing. They're going to look back and say, okay, what are the things we could have done better? And they're going to improve on those things. And as the players, we have the responsibility of doing the same thing.
Hold on. You had to listen to that very close, though. He's like, conflict? Wasn't no conflict. I did tell him that we need to run that inside zone, and then we did. Adrian Peterson like, ain't no conflict. Ain't nobody getting no conflict with me. Adrian Peterson. I said run the inside zone, and what we do? Ran the inside zone. Say something now. Say something. How does this go for Peterson, though? Because Peterson has been the workhorse for so long, right? Like the centerpiece of an offense for so long. It's so wild seeing him like on this rotation where these dudes are coming in and out. And I never felt like this team was a good one for him to be on, if for no other reason than, hey, man, they line up with two running backs and a tight end. You know what? And Adrian Peterson's deep. You know the ball is going to Adrian Peterson. You see them line up in the shotgun with Adrian Peterson next to Drew Brees. You know they're not giving the ball to Adrian Peterson because Adrian Peterson is an old school downhill, eye bone, give me the ball line me up 7 yards deep sort of running back. Like it feels like everybody has an idea of when it is that Adrian Peterson is going to get the ball in that offense. That's why I found it to be interesting that he wound up there because he just didn't seem to be a fit for what Sean Payton wanted to do. But they rolling all these dudes in and out of there, and that means sometimes Adrian Peterson doesn't get the ball to the end zone. Here's what he said about that.
I don't know. I was in there had a little, fake to the edge, and got out to the flat. So opportunity there, But I'm a competitor, I play. You guys know me, and so of course when I'm not in the red zone, my mindset is on these guys that's in there, Mark and Alvin, to get it in and make something happen, And when that doesn't happen, of course I look at that and I'm saying, let's just pound the ball. But that's the way that I think because I'm programmed that way and I've done it for so long. For 10 years, I've done it that way.
I love that. He's like, yo, okay, so I watch these cats. I'm a team player. I'm wishing them the best as long as they get it done. If not, holla at your boy. That is what he wants to be. The Saints have signed another running back in a similar situation before in the past. They signed Earl Campbell after Earl Campbell was done with the Oilers. And one day, Earl Campbell just looked up and was like, yo, man, I can't hit the hole like I used to do. I'm good. I'm done. Shannon, do you imagine that'll ever be a point like that with Adrian Peterson? Adrian Peterson is always going to be like, nah, man, I'm here. I can do this. Like, when will Adrian Peterson ever think he can't do it?
Never. And because honestly, if you're Adrian Peterson and you've been able to do these kind of superhuman things on the field, how is it you have some sort of humility to say, oh, no, I can't do this, or be honest with yourself? I'm sure I'm sure can't's not even in his vocabulary.
Right. He's like, I'm not doing it, but if you give me a minute. 888-729-3776. That's our telephone number. Let's hit the phones. Talk to Jackson in Oklahoma City. Jackson, thanks for calling the right time.
What's up, Bomani?
Doing all right, man.
So I wanted to call and tell you a story about why I quit football. So I quit football back in middle school, and that date's important because in middle school, they kind of just let everybody play. They don't really make you do any tries or anything like that. So they got me out there playing free safety, and I'm undersized. I'm a grown man now, and I'm only 5'6". So back then I was like 5'3", and they got me back there playing safety. Well, the running back, who was not 5'3", probably about 6 foot already, 200, come running through the line, break through all the tackles, and I'm the last line of defense, and I had to make a business decision at that point. And so instead of making it obvious and running the other direction, I kind of just dove towards his feet, but not actually at his feet, just to make the coach look like I had made an effort, and then I quit and did karate. So I would rather let people punch and kick me on purpose than play football.
I got to say this, man, and I appreciate the call. I don't even see the point of doing the fake if you decided you was going to quit. You just run off the field right then and there, never be seen again.
My partners was there. I can't let them know.
Got you. Then you
my
learn
mama
karate.
was in the stands, bro.
Then you learn karate. They couldn't mess with you, man. But Jackson,
Hey,
I appreciate the call, man.
All right, bro.
All right, now, 888-729-3776. DJ Mike Hit, man, what's going on?
Let me ask you something. Hey, Bo, let me ask you something. I'm listening to you and Shaq. And y'all look like a smart and brilliant man. Who do Minnesota quarterback here? What's his name?
Sam Bradford.
Okay, what do Minnesota play in?
They play in a dome.
Okay. They got Pittsburgh. It's cold. You got Chicago. It's cold. You got Green Bay. It's cold. Then you go to Cleveland. It's cold. Then you travel up to Buffalo. It's extra cold. The guy can't play in the cold weather. I know he's in Oklahoma, and the sun bright good out there. But when he plays cold weather, he's garbage. Remember that, Bo. You got to come to these cold places. And you can't grip the ball if you ain't got big hands. And he got very small hands. So the Minnesota's just the same thing. They good in the dome, one game. But when it get cold, they garbage. Just root for the Cowboys, American team. You won't go wrong. And by the way, Shannon, there's no crying on the radio. I heard it sound like you was crying when you lost. I'm rooting for you. Remember, them things really gonna look good when me and you sit together and toast. How about them Cowboys? Have a good one, Bo.
All right, Mike. Shannon, were you crying?
I thought I handled the loss well. Fellow member of the show, Allie Brunson, she's a Giant fan. She took it a lot worse than I did. I had very, 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 very low expectations once I found out Odell wasn't playing. I thought I handled it well.
So two people were crying. Okay, Straight Talk Wireless nationwide coverage of America's largest, most dependable 4G LTE network.
The Right Time with Bomani Jones. The Right Time with Bomani Jones.
All right, Faz. I guess a big thing that came out of the late game last night was what happened with my man, the sideline reporter. What's his name? Sergio Dip. That one was interesting in seeing the ways that people responded to that. Whenever you saw that, my man was doing the doing his first report of the night, and he was so wound up, he was so charged up. It wasn't my man's best television, right? And I think, of course, you know that. He acknowledged that. And I know this because he got on, he did an apology on the internet afterwards. He'd be in his hotel room, and he talked about how charged up he was and just, he wanted this as the biggest stage that he had been on. And then he apologized for it. And the young man is Mexican, right? Like, not like Mexican, like his people from Mexico, like he himself is from Mexico. I don't know very much about his career, but I felt so bad for him in the aftermath. And the reason why I felt bad for him is what wound up happening to the dude was he just got too excited, right? Like being on television in certain capacities. Like I've been doing television now in various ways for about 11 years, right? And there's still always something that you do that's kind of a step up. And when you do that step up, there's going to be a certain level of nervousness that comes. Now you add to that, he ain't sitting in no studio, man. He's on the sideline of the first game of the season and everything else. And what he got hit with was a whole lot of, basically you don't know how to speak English stuff, right? My man's English seemed to be strong. His problem didn't seem to be his English. His problem just seemed to be he got caught up, man. He got wound up and he wasn't quite ready for that moment. But what got me about it is something I want people to kind of think about and keep in mind is he sent that apology, and he said when he sent the apology on the tweet, it also said, God bless America, and it had a flag on it. And I'm like, my man, why in the world are you talking about God bless America right now? And the reason that dude probably was talking about God bless America at that moment is people really use that on some speak English. Right? Like they hit that dude as though the problem was his language or the fact that he is not a native English speaker. And that I found to be probably the saddest part of all of this, that in all of this went down and that man felt like not only did he have to apologize, but he had to say how much he loved America, as if any of that had to do with anything about God bless America. Hey, man, I wish that dude the best. I'm just telling you right now, for all of y'all, being on television is a little bit harder than it looks like it is. Now, of course, if your job's to be on television, all people care about is whether or not you do your job. I get that part. I understand that. And I think anybody who saw that, nah, man, that dude didn't do his best work at that moment. But if your move in response to that is I'm going to bully you on some learn how to speak English, you, my friend, are a dork. That's it. And if that man felt like the way he had to respond to that was God bless America, then, oh, boy, America need to do a better job of the way it conveys itself to the rest of the world, because he didn't owe the nation an apology. He didn't owe us an apology. He ain't even owe his producer an apology. He just had one of those moments that in many years down the line he's going to look back on and laugh. Y'all should have laughed, too, instead of trying to be bullies. 888-729-3776. That's our telephone number. We got more people calling in, telling about why they quit football. Let's hit the phones to talk to Mark in Texas. Mark, thanks for calling the right time.
Hey, Bomani, what's going on, man? Love the show.
Thank you, man.
Hey, man, so listen. So check this out, man. I'm originally from New York, right? About 10 years old, getting ready to join this little summer league, make the team. We got this one team, can't remember where they're from, but the dude was huge, right? Tackle. I'm playing defensive end. The dude was a tackle. All right, now automatically I knew it was going to be a bad day because I walk up to the line. They wearing all white. So dude looks like Sasquatch, like the abominable snowman, right? He's just huge because he's wearing all white helmet, white everything. Huge. For a 12-year-old, the dude had to be 6'9". I don't know. Either way, right? So then he walks up to the line. Everybody else, you say break, you run up to the line. Everybody runs up to the line. He walks up to the line with his big self. And this is what he says to me. Welcome to the worst day of your life. I swear to God. Welcome to the worst day of your life, right? So then they quarterback called Hut And this dude with one hand just puts his hand in the middle of my chest. It's kind of like you running in place, but you're not going nowhere. You know what I'm saying? Puts his hand in the middle of my chest, like right up under my face mask and right up on my neck. Holds me in place. I go to the side. I fall. He don't pancake me, but he kneels on me. You know what I'm saying? One knee on my chest, and it's like a turtle trying to get from off his back. I'm sitting there. After that, I walked to the sideline, gave the coach my helmet and my pads, walked off with my little pants with my pads in it, walked off and was like, yeah, I'm done. I'm tapping out. I got to call it quits. I mean, Sasquatch dude, 12 years old, dude like 6'9". I don't understand it. It's crazy. After that, I was like, no, I'm done. I'm good. I'm good. I'll stick to baseball.
I think you made the right decision, my man. I appreciate the call. 888-729-3776. How does that kid at 12 years old already know to say things like, welcome to the worst day of your life?
Exactly, and Mark was trying to convey to you, you don't understand how big Sasquatch was.
The fact that you still call him Sasquatch, I think, was enough for me right here. 888-729-3776. That's our telephone number. We can talk about Adrian Peterson just a little bit earlier. Let's hit the phones and talk to Jay in Las Vegas. Jay, thanks for calling the right time.
My brother, congrats on the show.
Thank you, man.
Been a fan for a long time.
Appreciate it.
So, bro, I just don't understand the big, why they're calling it a conflict or why we're acting like this is some big argument. Now, I heard somebody else called Adrian Peterson a diva after one game. Adrian Peterson already said, what he said during that exchange was, look, man, let's run this up their ass. Let's run it. Let's do it. Run it up the gut. Peyton's back was turned to the camera. But now all of a sudden, Peyton told him to shut up. Peyton told him to sit down. Peyton told him, I got this. We don't know what he said. Peyton might have said, look, you're gonna go in a minute. We got it. And then he turned around. That might have been it. I don't understand why this huge controversy. Anybody, and I'm not that dude. If you ain't playing the game, shut up. You don't know what you're talking about. But on the sideline, coaches cuss out coaches. On the sideline, coaches cuss out players. Players cuss out players. It goes on and on and on. I've been a Vikings fan, forced to be a Vikings fan since birth. So I got love for AP. But leading up to the game yesterday, I was like, the hell with AP. I hope we put him on his ass. However, my point is, now that the butt whooping is over, I can move on. I can root for him again. I would like to see him go to Arizona now that David Johnson is hurt. He's going to be out for a while because I really want to see him shine because that boy's heart is nothing to play with. He wants to show everybody what he's going to do. Appreciate it.
All right, man. Appreciate the call, man. And I got to say, though, I don't really think there was really that much controversy with the Adrian Peterson, Sean Payton thing. We just all imagine what it would be like to have Adrian Peterson look at us like that. That's all it was. I just saw that look, and I was like, ooh, suddenly I feel like cleaning up my room.
Real quickly on the Arizona situation, it was announced in the update before the segment that the Cardinals are bringing back Chris Johnson.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, boy. Tough life for you if David Johnson was your fantasy keeper. It's like I kept Andrew Luck.
The Right Time with Bomani Jones. The Right Time with Bomani Jones.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to The Right Time. My name is Bomani Jones. Thanks for listening on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. Our guest joined us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. John McClain of the Houston Chronicle will join us in the 5 o'clock Eastern hour to talk about what's going on with their quarterback situation. Remember, if you miss anything live, check out the Right Time podcast, available on the ESPN app. The Right Time also is brought to you by Upside. Now save big on travel and get a big gift card every trip you buy. You'll love Upside.com. Upside.com. All right, 888-729-3776. That is our telephone number. The Chargers, Phillip Rivers, behind in the fourth quarter. I don't think what Dan says about that. Dan says that no matter what, every Chargers game is going to end the same way, with Phillip Rivers deep in his own territory with a minute left and no timeouts. I don't know if they had any timeouts left, but that's basically the full-on condition of the life that Phillip Rivers has lived while he's in San Diego. Phillip Rivers had 3 touchdowns, by the way. He had 14 for 19 for $132 in the fourth quarter. He was kind of bad before that, but he got to roll it in the fourth. The Broncos wound up winning. They turned the ball over twice late in the game. Shannon, how about your man, Trevor Siemian? Trevor Siemian, I feel like, is basically just trying to establish himself as the replacement level quarterback. He could get himself into a situation where he's the next Kirk Cousins, where none of us think he's actually that good, but he's too good for you to let go of. The next thing you know, you franchising that dude for a couple of years. You think Trevor Siemian looks at Kirk Cousins, and anytime, when the Broncos come up and try to slide him some little bitty, little contract offer, Nah, I'll take the franchise tag. Like, that's where I think Kirk Cousins has been a pioneer. Kirk Cousins made all the money for these little, like, not so good, not so bad quarterbacks because Kirk Cousins just showed them how they can get rich. Last 2 years, last year plus this year, Kirk Cousins set the clock $44 million between the two. Trevor Siemian's got to be like, yo, that's my hero right there. I want to change my number to 8. That's what I want my jersey number to be.
And if you're Simeon, yes, this is not the same Broncos defense that won the Super Bowl a couple years ago, but it's still a very good defense. And so if you're Simeon, you don't have to really do that much, though, right? It's not like you have to go out here and sling the ball around.
The question is, can they run the ball, right? Like, if they can get a running game going, then no, he doesn't have to do that much. And they were able to get the running game going yesterday. Like, if they can do that, they can run the ball, then yeah, you don't really need that much out of him. And Shannon, you're right. They still have a strong defense. And the defense, look, they held the Chargers to 5.8 yards per passing attempt and 2.9 yards per rushing attempt. The defense is still there. The defense is still strong. So, no, he does not have to do but so much out there. And this, by the way, they pulled this off the Denver defense while only racking up 1 sack. That was it. They can still do it. Speaking of sacks, by the way, Shannon, Joey Bosa had a sack and a half. Melvin Ingram had a sack and a half. Start naming me some more of these San Diego Charger defenders, bro.
Ooh. Eee.
Yeah. Because we talked about this before the show. We were like, other than Trey Boston, who he can only name because we covered North Carolina football for a while. I'm looking right here at the box score with the Chargers defense. Brandon Mebane, I've heard of him. Did he play for the Cowboys or something?
Is he with Seattle?
Seattle. There we go. Like, that's what we got here. When I do recognize a name on this defense, it turns into who he used to play for. What's my man's name? Adrian Phillips. That sounds familiar. You don't know.
I have nothing on that, no.
Hold on, let me click the button and see why he sounds familiar. Oh, that's right, he went to Texas. Okay, yeah. There we go. I don't remember him playing for Texas. I don't know anybody who plays for their team. I do not at all. But I think this is the best division in the league, the AFC West. So, like, I mean, if one of these teams is the worst team in the division, that's a pretty strong division. We talk about the Chiefs, we talk about the Raiders, we talk about the Broncos, and we're talking about the Chargers. Like, this to me is the best division in the league. So is this, the NFC South, I think, is a competitor in the best division in the league competition. Is that it? Is that the end? Because the NFC North could turn out to be good. I mean, except for the fact that requires me to bank on the Lions being good, which isn't the sort of thing I like to say out loud. Because when I get stuff wrong, y'all like to come tell me, right? Like, and I feel like picking the Vikings. I don't know if y'all remember that time I said that the Bengals were going to go to the Super Bowl. Here I was thinking that having the most talent would matter more than being the Bengals. That was silly me. But no, this is the AFC West. Like, I feel like that's our division. That's the one that we're going to look at. Like, okay, this one's got the winners. What's the worst division in the league? Because I feel like that's a no-brainer. Should we look at this as what is the worst division in the league that is not the AFC South? Because the AFC South has to be the worst division in the league. There's no other competition. Shannon, you looking at it now? I'm looking at the AFC South and then the AFC East.
So I'm looking at the AFC East, and you have the Patriots up there. But other than that,
I'm going to go from worst to better. The AFC South, the AFC East, and then the NFC West. Those are our 3 at the bottom. Although, what do we say about the NFC East right now, Shannon? Are they good?
It's a bunch of meh.
Not till Odell comes back, right? Like, until Odell comes back, it is Dallas and the Pips. That's all it is. Dallas and Wham. Or Dallas and Andrew Ridgely's. That's what we'll call them. It's Dallas and Andrew Ridgely. That's what the rest of the division is.
I'm David Ruffin, and these are the Temptations.
Dude, to this day, I want to know what they were feeling back there when he says, I'm David Ruffin, and these are the Temptations. You was just a temptation yesterday. Just yesterday. You were a temptation. By the way, I'm naming all these divisions. The AFC North. Are we sure the AFC North is any good outside of Pittsburgh? Because it's not like the Ravens looked really good there against the Steelers. Why do we have so few good divisions, guys? Why is the NFL not better? I think it's fair to ask. All right, 888-729-3776. That is our telephone number. Coming up next, hey, man, what in the world are the Colts doing with Andrew Luck? ESPN Radio.
The Right Time with Bomani Jones.
Blue Apron is the #1 fresh ingredient and recipe delivery service in the country. For less than $10 per person per meal, Blue Apron delivers seasonal recipes along with pre-portioned ingredients to make delicious home-cooked meals. You can choose from a variety of new recipes each week, or you can let the Blue Apron culinary team surprise you. They don't repeat recipes within a year. You won't get bored. Right now, they've got summer vegetable and egg paninis. They've got the soy glazed pork and rice cakes with bok choy and marinated green beans. Customize your recipes each week based on your preferences. Blue Apron has several delivery options, so you can choose what fits your needs. No weekly commitment, so you only get deliveries when you want them. Each meal comes with a step-by-step, easy-to-follow recipe card and pre-portioned ingredients and can be prepared in 40 minutes or less. Guaranteed. Blue Apron's freshness guarantee promises every ingredient in your delivery arrives ready to cook, or they'll make it right. So check out this week's menu and get your first 3 meals free with free shipping by going to blueapron.com/Bomani. You'll love how good it feels and tastes to create incredible home-cooked meals with Blue Apron, so don't wait. That's blueapron.com/Bomani. Blue Apron, a better way to cook.
The Right Time with Bomani Jones.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to The Right Time. My name is Bomani Jones. Thanks for listening on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. We are presented by Progressive Insurance. You can send us a tweet at the 1-800-Flowers.com Twitter feed. That is at Bomani_Jones. All right, so we've been asking you guys to call in and talk about the day that you decided you were going to quit playing football. We thought we'd do this for one day, Shannon. We've been doing it now for a week and change.
Yes, a week and a half. And I have I've heard your request, and I'm starting to put together a best of when it comes to these Why I Quit Football.
Oh, really? Mm-hmm. We could probably put together like 5 volumes of this if it came down to it. Y'all love telling those stories. We'll get to some of those in a second. I wonder what Andrew Luck's story is going to be about the moment I decided I was going to quit football. Because at this point, if you're Andrew Luck, you got to consider it. Now, Andrew Luck has been ruled out already for week 2. The Colts don't know who their starting quarterback is going to be. Jacoby Brissett is a possibility, even though I believe he has been there all of 6 days with the team. All of 6 days. That Tolzien dude, apparently they're going to keep trotting him out there. Now, here's the thing about Tolzien and how bad Tolzien is. Tolzien's been working with the first team since April. Like, Tolzien had the whole training camp. He had every opportunity to be the guy to get comfortable with this team. And he went out there, Shannon, and looked like Silky Johnson's coat. I don't feel like there's any other way to describe what kind of play that they got out of your man, Scott Tolzien, where they had to go out there and put in Brissett. Brissett don't even know no plays. Like, I imagine Brissett was sitting there in the huddle holding his hand out and being like this, okay, so what I want you to do is get up to here, right? And when you go past the fire hydrant, cut in, all right? Now you, after he cuts in, then go ahead and stop right there. Now you over here, yeah, there we go right there. Like, he's calling out the plays on his hand. He ain't really had a chance to really go through the iPad and get all the actual plays, right? Like, he doesn't really have it. He out there looking like a ringer. Like, what's your name? You? T-Y? T-Y. Huh? Okay, cool. All right, cool. We'll go ahead and do that. There we go, right? Then we get out there. Then we go ahead and we make those plays. Now, the Colts are interesting because I forget where I was reading about this. Or somebody said they went to a practice with the Colts. And this is when Peyton Manning was there and Tom Moore was the guy running the offense. And he says he goes to the practice and Peyton Manning's getting all the snaps. And they asked Tom Moore, like, yo, why doesn't the backup get more work? And he says, oh, it's simple. Because if we have to go to the backup, we're bleeped. Like, it doesn't matter how much work the backup winds up getting. If we have to go to the backup, we're bleeped. Like, they made that call as a franchise. That's how they wound up that year that Peyton Manning got hurt. And they had to go to, I guess they went and signed Kerry Collins. And then it wound up being some Dan Orlovsky by the end of the year, right? And they're like, look, if we go to the backup quarterback, we are bleeped. The Colts, however, were in a wilder situation, though, because they saw from way out that this was possible. Like, it seems like they are as surprised as we are every time Andrew Luck doesn't play. Or is it that they know and they just want to make it seem like they're as surprised as we are every time Andrew Luck doesn't play? Now, we can have a discussion about how they're basically setting fire to Andrew Luck's career, right? Like, there's something to be said for that. There were 2 quarterbacks at the top of the 2012 draft, and that was probably the best pair of quarterback prospects, right, that we have ever had at the top of the draft. It looked like neither team could go wrong with the quarterback that they took. And what it seems to have happened is at least one of those quarterbacks' career is done, and his franchise had a whole lot to do with his career being done. And then Andrew Luck, whose career seems to be dying very slowly every year because of everything they don't put around him. And now none of us have any idea what's going on with his shoulder injury. Shannon, in fact, I don't have any idea if he's going to be, like, what kind of player is he going to be? coming off of this shoulder injury. I have no idea what they've got going. What I can't figure out is how the Colts don't have any idea.
Hasn't Andrew Luck missed time before? Shouldn't they have anticipated some of this?
And how about this? If there was a possibility that Andrew Luck could miss multiple weeks, why don't you go out here and get a quarterback that might be able to help you win some games? Because there's one that's out there. You had that option. You could have gone and gotten a quarterback that could help you win some games. But why win games, right? Who cares about winning games?
All right, if you're Chuck Pagano, you got to be looking at like, hey guys, I mean, come on, I'm on the hot seat as it is. We got a new GM, so I'm sure he's going to want to bring in his guy. And you mean to tell me we're going to slow play this Andrew Luck comeback?
Dude, Chuck Pagano is, I'll take any quarterback y'all can get. That boy can kneel and put his knee on my back while he does it, just as long as he comes out here and plays football. Like, tell me this, if you imagine you get Chuck Pagano, ask him about Kaepernick when nobody's around. Imagine how honest Chuck Pagano will get. Chuck Pagano being that bad boy sounding like Michael Bennett. Chuck Pagano being that bad boy sounding like Ice Cube. Like, Kaepernick, young brother got it bad because I'm brown. Whatever it takes, man, whatever we need. How many coaches do you think there are, though, that really look at their rosters? Like John Harbaugh seemed to be that guy, right, when they were first talking about this. How many rosters do you think these coaches are looking at their roster and they're looking at the coach? Like, I mean, if I got to be honest with you, I think this would probably be a good way for us to establish a dialogue so we could communicate with the community. Because the Colts are on this list of teams that have just decided, no, we don't want to win that bad. And for the Colts, I think it winds up being even stranger that they're doing this because they're in one of those divisions that everybody has a chance to win every year because the rest of the division is so sorry. You've always got a chance to win the AFC South. If they could just hold it down for these weeks that he was out, because 1 or 2 games might matter, because I don't know how many games they're going to win with Andrew Luck there. But let's say Andrew Luck misses 3 games and they go 0-3 in that stretch while he's out. Say he goes 0-3, they go 0-3 in that stretch while he's out. I mean, they might be done. And then that means you're going to bring Andrew Luck back so he can get beat up again, possibly get hurt again, and you got absolutely nothing to show for it. They had a chance to go out here and do something that would help them grasp a playoff spot. Nope. We don't want to do that because the people might get mad. Shannon, how do you think Chuck Pagano feels? What distraction do you think Chuck Pagano would rather have? You think Chuck Pagano would rather have the distraction of losing 46-9, or Chuck Pagano would rather come out here and talk about police brutality? Because I think Chuck Pagano would much rather come out here and talk about police brutality.
Using all the vernacular, my brother. Yes.
Oh, yeah, dude. Chuck Pagano's like, look, if y'all get me a quarterback, I'll wear some pig socks. Whatever it takes, man. These football coaches, they're not really wired to care about that sort of thing. That's just not really how they wind up going. So, like, let's go through this league and just look at the guys who are on these rosters starting at quarterback. Well, we already know Tom Coughlin. He decided he don't want to win. He'd rather be a cranky old man than go out here and get these W's. I don't know how Bob McNair feels about this, but I bet Bill O'Brien, no matter what we think about his general taste in quarterbacks, if you give him the choice of Deshaun Watson or Kaepernick, which one do you think he's taking? Since it's come down to Deshaun Watson, which one do you think that Bill O'Brien would rather have? I bet he'd rather have Kaepernick. I bet he would. You go up and down the league, you play this game with all these different teams. John Fox. How do you think John Fox feel right now? John Fox would be like, look, if Kaepernick will come here, he can go to midfield before the first game with Laquan McDonald's mama for the coin toss. Whatever it takes, we just need a quarterback. And the Colts were like, yeah, we need a quarterback. That's why we were so glad to have Andrew Luck. But, if we don't have him, we don't want a quarterback at all. At all. And he signed that long-term deal, too. Like, you want to know the difference between the NFL and the NBA? You couldn't be as incompetent running your franchise with the Colts in the NBA. No, because Andrew Luck would have gotten to the end of that contract and gone somewhere else. Like, the NBA has much more of an enforcement constraint on the back end where these dudes are like, nah, man, I'll leave. The NFL's got that franchise tag, and one of the worst things about the franchise tag truly is star player cannot hold your team hostage. Star player cannot make your team do better. Star player cannot do anything to motivate to be like, yo, I feel like I need to go out here and get some more talent around me. There's nothing that you can do. So Andrew Luck, as nice a guy as he is, and he's always saying the right thing, Shannon, how long is it before Andrew Luck going to finally lose his mind and like do the closest thing to cussing people out that, Andrew Luck would do? How long do you think it's going to be?
I do wonder, though, like, what would be the tipping point for him in Indianapolis? Like, you touched on it earlier. They haven't really put the weapons around him, especially on the offensive side of the ball. They haven't been able really to establish a run game. I know they brought in Frank Gore, but it wasn't San Francisco Frank Gore.
No, to be fair, they put more weapons around him on offense than they have on defense.
Oh, but it's the Colts. I assume they didn't have a strong defense. But I'm just talking about like the line.
The line's the issue, because I feel like they've made attempts, right? The Trent Richardson thing didn't work out, but they tried to bring in a running back there. They gave him receivers. Like, I think at all these different points, they've had people for him to throw the ball to. The line at different points has been good. It has been like up and down, but there have been points where that line has actually been good. Some of the problems the Colts have had have been his, but this is not how you build a franchise around Andrew Luck. Now, my question for you, Shannon, is not what's going to be the tipping point for Andrew Luck. My question for you is, what's it going to sound like when Andrew Luck hits the tipping point?
All right, guys, I'm through with this stuff.
888-729-3776. That's our telephone number. People calling in talking about the day they realize they need to quit playing football. Let's hit the phone, talk to Jason in Northern Michigan. Jason, thanks for calling the right time.
Monty, big fan until you started hating on my Lions.
I didn't hate on your Lions. You know your Lions been sorry your whole life. I'm just spitting that truth.
They've been sorry. I'm not saying Super Bowl, but maybe, NFC North. Can we get there?
It's possible, but you understand why I would be apprehensive about making such a bold proclamation.
Of course, you're a smart guy. So you guys are talking about football. I come from a small town in northern Michigan. Everyone plays football, but I didn't know anything about it. We go get pads, and they're wearing me more than I'm wearing them. You know what I mean? I look like one of those foosball players, and on the table. So we're all in a group, and the coach says, "All right, all the skill position players go with me." And I'm watching everyone going, "No, that's not me." And then the other coach is like, "Okay, all the tough guys go with me," and I'm like, that's not me either. I don't know where to go. And so he's like, you come with me. You're a tough guy. So I spent 2 years on the line getting pounded. And the last season I was on kickoff because that's where you put guys like me. And biggest guy in the league. He wasn't refrigerator Perry. He was like college dorm refrigerator at that level. And he's coming down, beats everyone. He could have went around me, but he was going to prove a point. Drills me, trips over me, save a tackle, save a touchdown. I'm wandering off the field the wrong direction. Guys are grabbing me, pulling me back the other way. End of the season, they give me a big award for best hit of the year. I got hit. I didn't do the hitting, and I realized that's it. I was like 85 pounds. That's enough for me.
Dude, I understand, Jason. I greatly appreciate the call. 888-729-3776. That's our telephone number. Give us a call. Coming up next, we take your phone calls. Also, find out which of Kobe's numbers the Lakers are going to retire on ESPN Radio, the ESPN app, Sirius XM Channel 8.
The Right Time with Bomani Jones.
Daddy, where do babies come from?
Honey?
Mommy went to the store.
Oh, well, you see, there's a mommy and a daddy, right?
Right.
And see, when they call Geico, they could save a bunch of money on car insurance.
Oh, really? And that makes them happy?
Yes, that makes them very happy.
That's good.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad we could have this talk, Sunshine.
Geico, because saving 15% or more on car insurance is always a great answer.
The Right Time with Bomani Jones.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to The Right Time. My name is Bomani Jones. Thanks for listening on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. We are presented by Progressive Insurance. John McClain, the Houston Chronicle, will join us next segment. John McClain will join us at 5:30 Eastern to talk about who in the world is going to start for the Houston Texans. Nothing makes up for your football obsession like a surprise from 1-800-Flowers.com to order a dozen multicolored roses plus an extra bouquet and a vase for just $29.99. Go to 1-800-Flowers.com/ESPN. 888-729-3776. That's our telephone number. You guys been calling up with them stories about that day you realize you need to quit playing football. Let's hit the phones and talk to Darius in Charlotte. Darius, thanks for calling the right time.
Hey, what's up, Bomani?
Doing all right?
Hey, man. I was playing D in high school. It was my first year playing high school. I was a high school football. I was a senior, and the quarterback came out on the bootleg, and all I had to do was go and tackle him, and I got blindsided, a crackback block by one of his receivers. It felt like falling off a rainbow road on Mario Kart. I got up. I couldn't run straight. I was running sideways. I couldn't even run straight. I went to the sideline. The coach, not the trainer, but the coach asked me what today was. And I was like, oh man, did I get hit that hard? Like he had to ask me what today was. And after that I said, okay, football's not for me. And to this day, I still can't park straight. I have a little crooked when I park.
Dang, man. Appreciate the call. 888-729-3776. This is our telephone number. So today is a day that Shannon's been looking forward to for a long time. We were curious to know whether or not whether the Lakers would retire Kobe Bryant's number 8 jersey, or if the Lakers would retire Kobe's number 24 jersey. Right? Now, just so you know, he played more games as number 8, but it was the prime of his career when he became number 24, so his numbers were better. I believe he had 3 rings as number 8. He had 2 rings as number 24. And so we were just wondering, which jersey the Lakers would retire, and apparently the answer is both. The Lakers will be retiring number 8, and the Lakers will be retiring number 24. And in case you're curious, I think Shannon is probably the person most curious about this one. Kobe led the league in field goal attempts 6 times in his career, 5 in the number 24 jersey. There it is. So, Shannon, which one do you think they should have retired?
Number 8. That's an easy one. Should have went with number 8.
Why is that?
Because he didn't have a silly nickname like the Mamba, or a self-appointed nickname, the Mamba out. No, he didn't give himself his nickname until he was, 24, right? Yeah. I don't think he had it when he was 8, right?
I don't think so.
So then that's why, for me, it would be number 8. Yeah, I get all the stats and the finals MVPs and all that other stuff with 24. Who cares about that stuff? When did you give yourself a nickname? And if you gave yourself your own nickname, that automatically disqualify you.
I think, though, the best part about him calling himself the Black Mamba is then it allowed us to call all kinds of other people the White Mamba, ironically. Right? Like, maybe that was his contribution to the world. Didn't Brian Scalabrine the White Mamba?
No, but we at least call that person the White Mamba.
Yes.
He didn't say to himself, hey, you know what? I can be, well, maybe no Scalabrine probably did. But still, the point being that we gave that person that nickname. Give yourself your own nickname.
I agree. I totally agree with this. I feel like the Lakers should have retired one number, and then the other one, either you don't give it out or you only give it out on special occasions, right? Like the number 88 for the Cowboys, where they only give it out to certain people. I thought that that's maybe what they should have done. That's maybe how they should have played it. But no. They are going to retire them both. This is like the opposite of the, Willis Reed and Dick Barnett. They got the same jersey retired for the Knicks. It's 15, I think. Whichever one is 15, it's Earl Monroe. That's right. It's Dick Barnett and Earl Monroe that had the same number retired for the Knicks, where Kobe gets to have 2 numbers. 2 numbers. Shane, you don't even care about the Lakers. Are you furious about this?
I'm not furious, but I did feel as though this was a bit beneath the Lakers. And I don't know if the Lakers are just trying to catch the Celtics in a number of retired jerseys, but this seems a bit. This seems beneath them. Like, if it was someone like, say, I don't know, the Miami Heat, who retired a jersey of a player who never played for them, then yeah, I can understand that,
Eddie Jones, like, when y'all gonna retire both of my jerseys, put my name up there with Gail Goodrich's, baby. I had that number before y'all got this bright idea. Yeah, Eddie Jones. Y'all remember me? Y'all traded me out of here so Kobe could get more shots. Didn't they trade Eddie Jones for Glenn Rice? No. He was in a trade before the Glenn Rice trade. I can't remember who they got for Glenn Rice. Or was he in the Glenn Rice trade? Either way it goes, they got Eddie Jones out of there just before it got cracking, which always has to be a little bit disappointing. But no, they got both of those for Kobe.
Yes, that is correct. Rice? Yeah, he was traded to Charlotte for Glenn Rice.
There we go.
There you go.
Now, we're going to put it on the poll there. Which Kobe number do you think they should retire? The 8, the 24, or both? The 8, the 24, or both? Shannon, I thought you were going to say they shouldn't retire none of them.
No, you got to. How could you forget Kobe's tenure and all the greatness that he provided for us basketball fans around the world? There's no way we can forget that.
I thought you were going to say he should have retired his number 8 jersey, because his number 8 jersey is when your favorite Kobe moment of all happened.
I'm just saying, if you want a daily reminder of what happened with Kobe getting that 2-piece and a biscuit while wearing number 8, I figured by retiring that number 8 jersey, hanging up the inner rafters at the Staples Center, will be a daily reminder to all the Laker fans of when Kobe caught that work. That's all I'm saying.
Kobe is your son's favorite player, and I felt like such a good friend and bad person that time I pulled up the video on the YouTube of Chris Childs punching Kobe in the face. He was just like, why do you punch Kobe? Because Kobe had it coming. 888-729-3776. That's our telephone number. So to Richard in Virginia. Richard, thanks for calling the right time.
Bomani, how you doing, man? Great show. Just wanted to tell you about the time I knew I needed to give up football. All through Pop Warner, Little League, my play was called an 88 throw-out screen. Take a step over the line, go back, catch the ball, touchdown. I played for Monsters. We always scored on that play. Coach knew about it when I got to high school freshman year, decided to run that play. Yeah, that linebacker, he saw that play coming. When I caught the ball, I just knew it was a touchdown. My blocker slipped or fell down or wasn't there. I still see that young gentleman's face as he hit me. When I woke up, my dad was holding me, and I was in the locker room. The game was over. Everybody else was leaving, so this was before concussions were known about or whatever. But evidently I had one. I was out for a few hours. This was one of the first plays of the game. Yeah, I decided to turn to basketball after that. That was my last game playing football.
Yeah, my dad was holding me. That's I appreciate the call, Reggie. Yeah, that's a wrap. My dad was holding me. That's when your dad breaks out all the manhood and cradles you to his bosom. Yeah, it's a wrap. All right, 888-729-3776. That's our telephone number. Coming up next, who's going to start at quarterback for the Houston Texans on Thursday? We'll talk to John McClain of the Houston Chronicle on ESPN Radio, the ESPN app, Sirius XM, Channel 80.
The Right Time with Bomani Jones. The Right Time with Bomani Jones.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to The Right Time. My name is Bomani Jones. Thanks for listening on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. Our guest join us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line, just like our next guest. He covers the NFL and the Houston Texans for the Houston Chronicle. Been one of my favorites, literally as long as I can remember. His name is John McClain. All right, John, first question. What is the latest with Deshaun Watson and his ankle?
Deshaun Watson will start unless he has swelling from practicing today. He took the first team reps. Everybody expects him to start against the Bengals on Thursday night. And by the way, Bomani, it took me a long time to get on your show. Every day I listen to you, I'm thinking, what do I got to do to get on a show with a Houston kid who's made such a name for himself?
Man, we always worry you too busy for us, man. You are the great John McClain and your team.
I feel like I've arrived.
Hey, look, man, your team keeps you busy. Like, that is the other part. Because, like, with this thing with Watson, where we were curious is, did he suddenly get ready? Or is this just a matter of them realizing he might be able to save himself behind that offensive line?
Tom Savage had the better preseason, better offseason. They loved Watson's improvement, his intelligence, everything about him. They think he's going to be special. But the offense, it's a pretty complicated offense, and they give the quarterback a lot of freedom at the line of scrimmage. And Watson can handle a game plan, but they're not going to give him the same one as they would give Savage. And in the first game, their offensive line was dreadful. And Tom Savage held the ball too long a couple of times, so they put Watson in because Savage was getting obliterated. And he did pretty well. He got sacked 4 times, but you would have been, how old were you in 1984? Warren Moon got sacked, I believe, 10 and 12 times against the Cowboys and Raiders, but they were loaded with Hall of Fame defenders. Now, maybe some of the Jaguars are going to the Hall of Fame, but man, oh man, I've never seen an offensive line play worse, and people may have to have mercy on Watson against the Bengals.
We're talking to John McClain of the Houston Chronicle here on The Right Time. Now, how equipped is O'Brien to, like, switch this offense up to fit around Watson? Because he doesn't seem like the sort of quarterback that O'Brien typically likes.
They have worked with him from the get-go about having some things in for him that they wouldn't have for Savage. Savage has got a great arm. He can make every throw. He's not fast. He can roll out. Watson, of course, can throw on the run, going right or left. He's got a lot better arm than I thought, Bomani, based on everything I had read on scouting reports. I went back at the end of training camp and read everything I could about him going into the draft, and some of the things that I saw question his decision-making, throwing into traffic. We didn't see that. And some of those, I remember watching Gruden's quarterback show in which he went over all of his interceptions, and Gruden, not Watson, pointed out how many were not Watson's fault. But he's a great leader, charismatic. He reminds me, I've been saying this from the get-go. A lot of people here get mad about it, but it's true. He reminds me at this point of his career of Warren Moon. Same kind of personality, same build. Warren's a little bit stouter, but that's because Warren worked on the weight program all the time, and Watson will too. But he got quiet confidence, quiet leadership, the way players gravitate to him reminds me the same way Moon was in 1984 when he was a 27-year-old rookie.
Now, what is the mood around this team? Because we'd heard the whispers in the offseason about the discord between the head coach and the general manager, and then we have this new quarterback that's in, and that's not always the greatest way to save your job if you're a head coach. So what's the vibe around this team been?
Well, right now they're doing everything they can to put that miserable performance against Jacksonville behind them. It's a good thing they got a short week because they need to play again. But purely selfishly, I'm glad it's a short week, too, because I got the stench of that performance still on my clothes. And so I think Cincinnati also was awful. You know, this is a battle of right now two bad offenses. Texans' defense was a big disappointment, too. I thought for sure their defense was going to be dominant. It didn't do much good against Jacksonville. Certainly didn't force any turnovers, didn't stop the run. So right now, as you know, Bomani, one game, the season's over. Everybody should be fired.
You were talking to John McClain of the Houston Chronicle here on the right time. Now, coming off that injury, how did J.J. Watt look this weekend?
Watt looked very ordinary. So did Jadeveon Clowney. They combined for 2 tackles, which is the same number left guard Xavier Safilo had chasing down returns.
Yep, that'll do it. We're talking to John McClain here of the Houston Chronicle. Now, Dwayne Brown is holding out. Did the awful performance of the line bring them any closer to resolution?
No, Dwayne's got 2 years left on his contract. He's walked away from $553,000 a week, which shocked us all. He just turned 32. This same line, with one exception, right tackle Derek Newton played first 4 games without Brown last year when he was recovering from surgery. And they were 3-1, and they allowed only 7 sacks. And 3 of the teams they played against finished with winning records. So this line has played well enough with these players. And so I don't know the first game. I'm not exactly sure how they could collectively play it pathetically. But you hope as a coach and as an owner and a general manager, they got it out of their system. You know, what they need to do was walk behind the building, stick their finger down their toes and throw it up and move on.
All right, talking to John McClain here of the Houston Chronicle. Now, have you ever had a situation where you could think of where a team's whole position group wound up on the injury report and might not be able to play because all the Texans tight ends are in the concussion protocol?
I just finished my 40th training camp, and I have never seen that. Their tight ends are decimated with concussion. They had 5 concussions in the first game, 4 offensive, and Brian Cushing, who is a terrible loss because he was playing really well. I've never seen it, Bomani, and they're going to have to play some linemen as extra tight ends. They've got one on the practice squad, Evan Bayless, an undrafted rookie. They're going to have to not utilize tight ends in their passing game, and last year that was a big deal. The one hurt the worst is their best receiver, C.J. Fedorowicz, went on IR. Means he's got to miss 6 games before he can practice and 8 games before he can play.
The Right Time with Bomani Jones. The Right Time with Bomani Jones.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to The Right Time. My name is Bomani Jones. Thanks for listening on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. All guests join us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Thanks to John McClain of the Houston Chronicle for joining us last segment. Mike Wise of the Undefeated will join us in the 6 o'clock Eastern hour. ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. You can save hundreds on your car, business, or recreational vehicle insurance from a local independent agent. Go to Progressive.com today. Now, that's Progressive. I do have to say this right fast about having John McClain on. You guys know I'm from Houston, so I've been reading and keeping up with John McClain my whole life. Shad, you know, anytime some good news comes around from me, John McClain sends me a text to tell me congratulations.
Oh, wow, that's really dope.
Like when the TV show news came up, so like it's always the coolest thing to have John McClain on, even though he said he wondered how long it was going to be before we had him on, and that's the 3rd time he's been on the show. I still rock with him, though. He's my dude. Like, that makes me feel good inside. 888-729-3776. That's our telephone number. Letting y'all call in and talk about that hit you took that made you decide to quit playing football. Let's talk to Damon in Kentucky. Damon, thanks for calling the right time.
Hey, Bo. Appreciate you taking my call.
Yes, sir.
All right, so I want to come at this from a little bit different angle. I was a pretty good high school player. I could have went to a couple of mid-major schools, Morehead State and Kentucky State, but I ended up going to a NAI school in Tennessee called Carson Newman. Long story short, my freshman year, I get my girlfriend pregnant. I call home and tell my dad, and he's like, "Oh, you got to quit." I'm like, Dad, you know, don't cut me off. I still got a chance. Maybe I can, make this. Maybe I still got a chance to make it to the league. He said, they don't let stupid people in the league. and by being stupid, I mean, he knew that other people had children before they, were in the league. But he's like, if you think I'm going to work hard all my life to raise you up to be a deadbeat dad, you got to be stupid. And that was the hit that knocked me out of football. My father told me I was too stupid to play football.
You might be the leader in the clubhouse on these stories thus far, David. Appreciate that. They don't let stupid people in the Woo! 888-729-3776. That is our telephone number. So ESPN has done their rankings of their top 100 NBA players so far. Shannon, is LeBron number one?
Counting down, they haven't got to one yet. So.
Oh, we're counting down. So far we just have, right, Carmelo Anthony is at number 64. He was number 31 last year. Melo is now at number 64. And if you think it's crazy enough that Melo was dropped to 64, Lonzo Ball is at 63. They saying that Lonzo Ball already is better than Melo, Shannon. Already saying that he is better than Melo. I mean, look, Lonzo Ball had a great summer league in Las Vegas. It became a thing. We all came to check it out. But how salty do you think Melo is? Or would you like me to tell you how salty Melo is, Shannon? Did you know he tweeted about it?
Sure he did.
He said, and I quote, "Can't make sense out of nonsense. A certain darkness is needed to see the stars at ESPN. Don't be so blatant with the disrespect." That reminds me of this one time that some guy got on ESPN and said that Melo was not a top 5 player, but a top 10 player, and then Melo called that person a hater. You remember who that was, Shannon?
I do recall that. That was great.
That was. I think it was in 2010 that he did that. How thirsty do you think Melo would be for somebody to call him a top 10 player now? When's the last time somebody called me a top 10 player? Because a whole lot of people called me a hater then and for saying that Melo was a top 10 player and not a top 5 player. And I was right, by the way. I was right then. I'm right now. And now Melo's at 64, and I feel like we kind of tripping. Can you name 63 better basketball players in the NBA than Carmelo Anthony? Like, I'd be very curious to see the rest of the list, because I think Lonzo had to be the name to make him be like, come on, bro, you tripping.
Oh, no, it might actually be worse. Let me give you a list of some of the names that were ahead of Melo on this list, all right?
All right.
So Melo's in at 64, Lonzo 63, Eric Gordon 62.
Hold on, we're saying Eric Gordon is better than Melo?
Let's continue. Avery Bradley, 61. Devin Booker at 60.
Seems kind of low for him.
Exactly. Danny Green, 59.
Oh, we got Danny Green is better than Melo.
Harrison Barnes, 58. Andrew Wiggins, 50.
Hold on. Harrison Barnes that plays for the Mavericks?
Yes, the same Harrison Barnes, yes.
Okay.
Harrison Barnes, 58. Andrew Wiggins, 57. Malcolm Brogdon, 56.
No.
Let me give you 55. Robert Covington.
I hope Melo ain't listening. Melo might drive his car off the road. Robert Covington? Is that what we're doing? Yo!
Wait, without looking him up, do you actually know who Robert Covington is?
He plays for the Sixers, right?
Very good. I honestly, when I first saw it, it didn't have the team next to it, so I didn't know who he was.
The nerds are really big into Robert Covington. I'm not going to pretend as though I watch the Sixers enough to give you any real answers about him, because why in the world would I do that? We only talk about them on TV when they lose, and you don't need to watch them to talk about them losing. But Robert Covington made this list like lots of spots over Melo. Lots of spots over Melo.
Spots ahead of Melo.
Yo, man, I am totally on board with Melo in all his fury about this. In fact, let me go look at this. So Melo's at 64, right? Let me look at who 65 is. 65 is 65 is Marcus Smart. They try to say that Melo is basically no better than Marcus Smart. Shannon, Melo got to go see somebody, right? Melo go show up at Bristol. I don't even know if he know how to get there, but he's going to show up in Bristol. And Drew Holiday, Brooke Lopez, way over Melo.
The Rooster comes in ahead of Melo, the guy who was traded for Melo.
I told you I wound up meeting some people at Central Park one day who said the Rooster stayed at their house one night and slept on an air mattress.
Do they even make air mattresses long enough for dudes that tall?
No, they don't. Especially it's not like he brought his own air mattress. The air mattress was just at the crib. I don't know about you, bro, but I feel like he made too much money. You just got to hit on Hotel Tonight and see what you can work out for the evening. 888-729-3776. That's our telephone number. Coming up next, are the Saints going for under 500 again? We'll talk about that on ESPN Radio.
The Right Time with Bomani Jones.
Blue Apron is the #1 fresh ingredient and recipe delivery service in the country. For less than $10 per person per meal, Blue Apron delivers seasonal recipes along with pre-portioned ingredients to make delicious home-cooked meals. You can choose from a variety of new recipes each week, or you can let the Blue Apron culinary team surprise you. They don't repeat recipes within a year. You won't get bored. Right now, they've got summer vegetable and egg paninis. They've got the soy-glazed pork and rice cakes with bok choy and marinated green beans. Customize your recipes each week based on your preferences. Blue Apron has several delivery options, so you can choose what fits your needs. No weekly commitment, so you only get deliveries when you want them. Each meal comes with a step-by-step, easy-to-follow recipe card and pre-portioned ingredients and can be prepared in 40 minutes or less. Guaranteed. Blue Apron's freshness guarantee promises every ingredient in your delivery arrives ready to cook, or they'll make it right. So check out this week's menu and get your first 3 meals free with free shipping by going to blueapron.com/Bomani. You'll love how good it feels and tastes to create incredible home-cooked meals with Blue Apron, so don't wait. That's blueapron.com/Bomani. Blue Apron, a better way to cook.
The Right Time with Bomani Jones.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to The Right Time. My name is Bomani Jones. Thanks for listening on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. We are presented by Progressive Insurance. You can send us a tweet at the 1-800-Flowers.com Twitter feed. That is at Bomani_Jones. All right, guys, we had some Monday Night Football action for you last night. The Vikings pulled out a victory over the Saints. Something interesting about the Saints, though. This is just game one, right? The first game. And here is what Drew Brees had to say after the game.
Nobody's feeling sorry for us, and we're not feeling sorry for ourselves. But there's also a great sense of urgency knowing that the greatest improvement needs to take place right now. You know, from game 1 to game 2. This is when the greatest improvement needs to take place. So we'll be chomping at the bit to get back on the field.
Urgency, bro. That's just one game. Like, I hear your logic about, this is when the greatest improvement needs to take place. Shannon, I don't even know if that part is true. You already urgent?
Week 2 already? Like, I can see if it was college. Some colleges, they'll get rid of their coordinators after 1 or 2 games. But week 2 in the NFL, and we're urgent already?
Well, here's the thing, though, right? We used to call Jeff Fisher, the former coach of the Los Angeles Rams. We used to call him Fitty because his teams would stay going 8-8. And then we realized they wasn't even really going 8-8 no more, so we stopped calling them 50-50 and we started calling them 7-9, right? Because his team stayed going about 7-9, and he got fired when they didn't go 7-9, but he has a tendency to go 7-9. Shannon, the new 7-9 in the NFL is Sean Payton. They gone 7-9 last 3 years, right? Like, would that not make him 7-9? He's 7-9 2017? Is that him? So should we have had on July the 9th, should we have had Sean Payton Day because it was 7-9? Like, I don't know how long the Saints keep going with going 7-9 with Sean Payton. I think didn't they redo his deal recently or give him a new one or whatever it is, so maybe they're in there because he's local legend, man. They had that great team coming off the Storm in 2006, and then they won the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl, that was the bane of my existence back when I was on that narcotic, because that meant the Saints could always talk about winning that Super Bowl, and the Falcons will never be able to say anything like that, because you can't win a Super Bowl with a 25-point lead. You ain't never going to win a Super Bowl, and I told y'all to get off that narcotic, but y'all stupid people keep riding for the Falcons. And then look at me when y'all's hearts get broke. Think I'm going to hug you. I ain't going to hug you. I'm going to poke you in the forehead and call you stupid. Was I talking about something else? Was I supposed to be talking about the New Orleans Saints? Yeah, the New Orleans Saints. The Saints are just kind of there. Like, they've got Drew Brees, and they always put up big numbers on offense, so you always think of them as a team that's a threat to win just about every week. But it's just 3 straight seasons of them going 7-9, and I can't imagine how frustrating that has to be Brees, to be Sean Payton. Drew Brees, by the way, whose contract is up at the end of this year and who says he's not going to negotiate his contract during the season. Can you imagine a point, Shannon, where he looks up and says, nah, I'm going to go play this out somewhere else? Because apparently Drew Brees thinks he can play forever. This is year 17.
It's funny because we talked so much about with Brady and him coming in the league in 2000. Well, Brees came in 2001.
Yep, and Carson Palmer came in 2002. Like, we still got old timers that are here. To put it in perspective, the number 1 pick, no, you're right, 2003. You are correct. The number 1 pick the year that Drew Brees came out was Michael Vick. LaDainian Tomlinson was taken in that same draft, and he just went into the Hall of Fame. the Hall of Fame. Drew Brees still out here. Drew Brees, you know what? I just figured this out, Shannon. Mike Glennon, we've been picking on him about the length of his neck. Maybe his neck wasn't that long. Maybe his Drew Brees is his favorite player. He'd be stretching it out as far as he can, and then it wouldn't go back. Right? Maybe that's what it is, because you've seen Drew Brees down there. Drew Brees is a little too short to play. Drew Brees has all the short man tricks, right? Like he's back there standing on the tippy toes, sticking his neck up as high as he possibly can.
Speaking of the Saints roster, I was thinking about Drew Brees. Yes, he's in his 17th season, and the Saints went out and drafted, I guess, the heir apparent in Taysom Hill. But I was also looking at their quarterback roster, and they got Chase Daniels, the backup.
Chase Daniel making all that money.
Would you like to guess what year this is for Daniel?
Oh, I can answer that. Whoa, this is his 10th year in the league, isn't it?
Ninth year, yes.
It's only the ninth? I thought 07 was his last year at Mizzou. Wow. 9th year in the league. Now, Taysom Hill is not the heir apparent because Taysom Hill is about Drew Brees' age. Like, if you go look it up,
He's 27. Whoa.
Yeah, he had like 6 years of eligibility, and he did a mission.
I looked at the BY.
Hold on. Oh, that means you've never heard me talk about Taysom Hill before. Would you like to hear about one of the saddest nights of my life?
Absolutely.
So this is 2013. I'm in Oklahoma City, right? I'm in Oklahoma City because my aunt died, right? So we had gone to the funeral. Come back to whatever budget hotel my mama booked those reservations at because I wanted to explain to my mama, Mom, I'm rich now. Like, I'll pay for a real room. But my mama, nope, she'll be cheap to the day she dies, right? So I'm in some cheap hotel room off in some industrial park in Oklahoma City, and I turn on the television, and I watch BYU versus Texas. Taysom Hill the year before had torn his ACL. Like, he was coming back off of an ACL tear. I don't know the exact number, but Taysom Hill ran for roughly 647 yards. It was so bad they fired the defensive coordinator the next day. So that is how I followed up a day of funeraling, is watching Taysom Hill, one-legged Taysom Hill, run for 653 yards on Texas. So I'm in the state of Oklahoma watching Texas get run over by Taysom Hill. Taysom Hill a bad man. Like, I don't care what happens. Let me tell you something. If Taysom Hill comes out here and they run the wishbone with him, they're going to win some games. Listen to me now. Believe me later on. Thanks for bringing up Taysom Hill, Shannon. Really, like, I'm now.
You're welcome.
Taysom's going to get their doors blown off this weekend, too. That's the discussion. Where are we talking about the Saints? Right? Like, weren't we talking about the Saints?
Is that twice in the same segment here? Where once you went to that one team that you don't root for, and then you start to talk about that one team that you do root for, but that you don't want to talk about.
I don't want to talk about them. No, I do not. They're going to get beat so bad this weekend, too. Like, I don't want to discuss. Listen to Adrian Peterson talk about there being no issues with Sean Payton, even though he looked at Sean Payton like he wanted to rip the top of his head off like the top of a jelly jar.
No, any issues? No, I don't know what clip you're talking about, but
you'll see it.
Yeah,
it's the one with the death stare.
The death stare. Well, one thing I said to him was, "Hey, you got to run this inside zone," and we came out and we ran it. So, there's no conflict. Let's not try to spin it like it is. There's no conflict. I got a lot of respect for Coach Payton and his offense and what he's a great mind. So. We're going to learn from this. The Vikings are going to learn from what they can learn from offensively and defensively. And coaching staff and our coaching staff are going to do the same thing. They're going to look back and say, okay, what are the things we could have done better? And they're going to improve on those things. And as the players, we have the responsibility of doing the same thing.
I'll give this to Adrian Peterson. He said all the right things for a dude who probably was seething at the idea he only got 6 carries. He said all the right things, although one of the things he said was we need to run that inside zone, and we did. Ain't no beef. I told a man what to do. Man did it. How about that? All right, 888-729-3776. That's our telephone number. We've been having you guys call in, tell them stories about that last time you played football that let you know you didn't need to play football ever again. Let's hit the phones and talk to Larry in Washington. Larry, thanks for calling the right time.
Hey, Bomani, love your show.
Thank you, man.
Hey, my last game of football actually is practice. In high school, I had 2 future NFL players on my team. Pat Beach, that played for the Indianapolis Colts, and John Elway, who we all know. So I was defensive then. Beach is killing me all game long, just killing me. And my coach came over and got in my face and says, if you can't make a play, hey, we're going to find somebody that can. So very next play, I dropped to my knees, and Beach went flying over the top of me, and I got up and busted Elway like a big bag of taters, and the coach came running over and got right in my face and says, "Hey, what are you doing, trying to hurt our best players?" And that night after practice, I took a shower and took my pads off and went home and never went back.
I got to say, a good way to go out is I cracked John Elway, and the coach said I hit him too hard.
Exactly.
Because John Elway is one of those guys that was about as big as he was in the NFL in high school, right?
Yeah, he was a big guy. Beach was 6'6", 250, and he manhandled me. I was just a skinny little kid, so I just dropped to my knees. He fell over the top of me. I busted Elway right in the chops and dropped him, and Coach got my face again. And it's like, okay, I'm done.
Well, hey, Larry, man, I appreciate the call. You have a good one. All right, now, 888-729-3776. That's our telephone number. Coming next, we got your phone calls. Also, Charles Oakley is fighting Jim Dolan on Jim Dolan's turf. Find out where that turf is on ESPN Radio, the ESPN app, Sirius XM Channel 8.
The Right Time with Bomani Jones.
Okay, Kevin, for the grand prize of $1 million, what color is the White House?
I know this.
5 seconds.
Oh, switching to Geico could save you a bunch of money on car insurance?
Okay. Judges? That's true, Kevin. They'll allow it. Congratulations. You're a winner.
Woo! Geico, because saving 15% or more on car insurance is always a great answer.
The Right Time with Bomani Jones.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to The Right Time. My name is Bomani Jones. Thanks for listening on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. We are presented by Progressive Insurance. Mike Wise, the undefeated, will join us next segment. Mike Wise will join us at 6:30 Eastern. Turn that back up, Bubba. That's the old soul song of the day. Take your time. Do it right by the SOS Band. I didn't have to tell you it was the SOS Band, but I did have to tell you which song by the SOS Band it was, as all the songs from the SOS Band. Songs all sound the same, Mike. Songs all sound the same. Hey, did you know that you can take the NFL with you wherever you go thanks to the TuneIn app? No matter where you live or what team you love, TuneIn brings you the home and away call for every live game. Download the TuneIn app and listen live. 888-729-3776. That is our telephone number. We're letting y'all call up, tell that story about that time you got that buyout and decided you ain't want no more parts of football. Let's hit the phones and talk to Billy in D.C. Billy, thanks for calling The Right Time. All right, Billy's not there, but we can talk to Colin in California. Colin, thanks for calling The Right Time.
Hey, what's up, Bomani? Thanks for having me on the show.
Yes, sir.
So I was a pretty big guy in high school. I was 6'5" my freshman year, and so my sophomore year, so I played basketball. I didn't play football. I played basketball. But my sophomore year, my friends convinced me to go out to be a tight end. They didn't play football. So the second game of the season, the running back fumbled on his own run. I jumped on the ball, and so I got at the bottom of the pileup. And in that pileup, the defenders on the other team were choking me and punching me in the groin. And now, even with a cup on, it still really, really hurt. And so the whole time, and I don't know, it could have been 30 seconds or 3 minutes. Hard to tell now, but the whole time I'm being choked and punched. And so when they finally got, the referees broke it up, I walked to the sideline, threw my helmet down, and walked to the locker room and never played football again.
Look, I'm so glad you mentioned that, Colin. I appreciate the call. And here's why I'm glad he mentioned that. I don't think we talk nearly enough about the pile, right? Like the idea, the notion of the pile. I don't love anything enough to jump into a pile in order to get it, right? So think about that. So the ball is loose. How much do you have to be invested in this and care about this to make the decision? I am going to try to jump in and weave through all these guys just so my team can get the ball back. They'll put nothing extra in your check for that, right? Just so my team can get the ball back. So I'm going to wind up on the bottom behind, in all likelihood, literal tonnage, right? Tons of human on top of me. Tons, what, 2,000 pounds? It is entirely possible you could have a real live ton on top of you. And I did this all. Why? So the team could get the ball? It ain't like you can get the ball and then run to the end zone, right? Just so the team can get the ball. And as he put it, they be down there grabbing on your goodness, putting fingers in. I mean, it ain't but so many places, right? They do that down there. They do that. Nah. I'm good. Like, if I can't get the ball and roll out with it, how will you never see this either? The guy get the ball at the bottom and just start kicking everybody. Like, I feel like if it's all fair game for people to rub up on your goodness while you're on the ground, I should be able to kick everybody off of me. But nobody ever does that. Guess the game got rules. Grabbing my goodness, not a big deal. But if you put your feet on somebody, now we got a problem. All right, 888-729-3776. That is our telephone number. Charles Oakley is suing Jim Dolan. Yes, you know the whole thing that happened last year with Oak getting put out of Madison Square Garden. He is suing Dolan for defamation, libel, slander, and other things. He said he wants the damages to be awarded by a jury. Shannon Charles Oakley says that he should be compensated for his emotional distress and mental anguish and for his attorney fees. And I got to say, it's a really difficult thing you got going here, trying to convince us that anyone has ever caused Charles Oakley emotional distress. Like, I feel like I have to shake off everything I ever knew about Charles Oakley to believe that Jim Dolan could cause him emotional distress. Now, a big part of this lawsuit, though, to be clear, is that Dolan has called Oakley an alcoholic, and alcoholism is a disability. Therefore, you can't, like, basically, if he's saying he's keeping Charles Oakley out of the arena because Oakley is an alcoholic, you can't do that because it's a disability. Shannon, it's really weird talking about Charles Oakley in legalese when normally he's just talking about throwing knees.
Also mentioned by Oakley's attorney that the issues stemming from the incident at Madison Square Garden and its fallout have been a matter of principle.
Yep, I saw that. I was wondering if you saw that. That is exactly, like, that's, Oakley's lawyer didn't write that. Oakley was on the sideline like, hey, put this in, man. It's not about money. This is about principle. Put that in there. That's right. It's the principality, Smokey. I know your name not Smokey. That was a movie called Friday. It was very funny. It's the principality, Smokey.
I can just imagine the number of things that Charles Oakley does and goes about his life for the matter of principle only.
How many people have been punched in the jaw and to this day have no idea why? All they know is Oak said it was about principle. That's all it was. Oak went straight to, it's the principle. It is the principle. Nothing good is happening once somebody's made the decision that this is about the principle. The principle. It's interesting, though, man. That's where rich people normally like to fight. See, that's Oak got to go fight Dolan in court because you can't fight rich people on the street because rich people will sue you. So you got to fight him in court. So you got to basically sue him first. That's how it works. You've basically got to sue him first. We're going to talk to Mike Wise at the Undefeated next segment, by the way. Shannon, we just going to get him to tell Oak stories.
Yep.
Should we get him to tell the story again about Oak in the limousine in a purple suit?
We got to.
Like, I figured people didn't hear it the first time. They're going to need to hear it another time. All right, 888-729-3776. That is our telephone number. Let's hit the phone. Let's talk to Sam in Pennsylvania. Sam, thanks for calling the right time.
Hi, Bo. Love the show. Thanks for having me on. So I went to white suburban high school outside of across the river from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. And as you know, Harrisburg has some guys that come out like LaShawn McCoy and McDevitt, so they got some like big talent over there football wise. And I was playing midget football, which is what we call it up here, Little League football. In our Super Bowl, I was 12 years old, playing against Swatara Township, and that their big star was Jamil Poteet, which is actually the younger brother of Hank Poteet. I came around. I was playing D-end. Mind you, he was playing wide receiver. He came around for an end around. Next thing I knew, I had this 6'3", huge-ass black dude knocking down me. 100 pounds, 5'5", and he knocked me on my back. Got a concussion, tore my MCL. Fast forward a year later, they got this other guy, 13 years old. Again, we're in the Super Bowl against this team. Guy named Wayne Chisholm, and come around the edge, and Jamil, same thing, end around. He knocks me on my back. And I get another crack from the other way, as it was like a late crackback block. And I am face down. I look up, and Jamil Poteet's looking down at me, and he says, "Stay down there, B." So I was like, I'm done.
Yep. I think that's enough, Sam. I appreciate the call. Not sure to be a black had anything to do with anything. By the way, Shannon, some guy named Eric is in my mentions, and he says, your argument about the pile only says you don't love to play the game. Nothing wrong with that, but that's part of the game as a player. You don't say. What I'm telling you is what you're doing is stupid. That's what only one of y'all gonna get the ball, man. Like only one of y'all is gonna get the ball. And you're right. I don't love the game nearly enough. I can't think of anything that I love enough for random dudes to be out here fondling me by my goodness. And it's all in the game. I don't want to play that game. All in that game? I don't love that game.
The Right Time with Bomani Jones. The Right Time with Bomani Jones.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to The Right Time. My name is Bomani Jones. Thanks for listening on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. All guests join us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line, just like our next guest. Check him out at theundefeated.com. His name is Mike Wise. Now, Mike, we had you on because you go back with Charles Oakley. Did you expect him to sue Jim Dolan?
I heard rumors to the effect, Bo, and can I call you Bo, by the way? Are we
of course.
I don't know. So I heard rumors to the effect that he had been hit by a phone or somebody, a security guard at Jim Dolan's, and Phil Jackson's bodyguard, by the way, had communicated that to someone I know. No one could ever pin it down, but look, I didn't see this coming. I thought it was I thought they had either worked things out or that they were on their way back to some kind of amenable reconciliation. And so, all of a sudden, Charles Oakley is on the Knicks payroll again. It's unbelievable.
Now, we joked about this, that like the hardest thing to get out of this with the lawsuit is Charles Oakley saying that Jim Dolan inflicted emotional distress upon him, because it's hard to think of someone inflicting emotional distress on Charles Oakley. But is this the sort of thing where you feel like he's hurt by what's happened?
I think this was more than physical. I mean, Charles Oakley's been in some scrapes physically that would cause him a lot of physical pain. I think Charles Oakley was wounded that night, and I don't think, and he's got to take some of the blame. But the way the crowd was handled, the way the security guards basically stepped to him and asked him to leave, at no point was there a consideration that he might go to another seat in the arena. It was just handled poorly. And then for them to, you're basically 5 or 6 security guards are putting a former player that was a cult hero back in the 90s on the floor and taking him through the corridors under the bowels of the garden. I mean, it was just, the whole thing was sort of the nadir of the Knicks franchise since the glory days of Riley, Van Gundy, and the times when people actually thought they were a contender.
All right, we're talking to Mike Wise of the Undefeated here on The Right Time. I know you've done this on the show before, but for those who weren't listening that day, would you mind telling them about the time that you rode with Charles Oakley to his house in Cleveland?
Oh, it's still one of my favorite memories. We actually, it was Frank Isola, me, Barbara Barker from Newsday. Gosh, I want to say Steve Popper from the Asbury Park Press, maybe a couple other people. And he essentially, Isola had talked him into somehow Isola had said that every time you were host at an All-Star game, the host takes the beat writers around. Well, the All-Star game happened to be in Cleveland that year. Of course, Charles Oakley being one of the most significant citizens to ever come out of East Cleveland, basically said, all right, meet me at the hotel. I'll have a car to pick you up. Well, it was a stretch limo. We got into the stretch limo, Bo, and essentially Charles Oakley was in a purple pinstripe suit with a matching fedora. And I just remember Frank Isola looking at him, and he goes, dang, Oak, you're like the godfather of Cleveland. And Oakley looking at us and going, you're down with the king, ain't you? And I mean, from that moment on, the most depressing thing was when we pulled up at the Supper Club in East Cleveland, which he owns, and it was the All-Star weekend. I mean, a limo pulls up in front of the Supper Club, and it's Charles Oakley's restaurant. They thought that Scottie Pippen, Jordan, Ewing, Oakley was going to get out of that limo, and all of a sudden it's like, hey, what's up? It's the White Riders. Who are you guys? It was not a good scene. It was very embarrassing, but nonetheless, the night ended with Charles taking us to his actual home. His mom, Corinne, made the best sweet potato pie I ever had in my life. We ate soul food. We sat on Charles's couch that was covered with plastic still from when he was a young man. I guess he spilled his chocolate milk or something. And the greatest part was when he actually showed us his prom date on the picture, prom date on the wall. And she goes, "She's beautiful, Oak." And Oakley just looked at us and said, "Somebody had to take her." I mean, you couldn't make it up.
We were talking about,
so it just showed. And at no point did we ever write about it until I think after we got traded to the Knicks. Nobody ever. I mean, it wasn't something that he ever did for publicity. He just wanted to show us what his world was about. And to this day, it's probably my fondest memory of ever hanging out with a player and letting us into his life like that.
We're talking to Mike Wise, the undefeated, here on The Right Time. Since I've got you here, you are in Washington. How have overreaction Monday and Tuesday been over the team losing this weekend?
The Washington football team, God bless them. Those young lads are trying so hard, and they have management getting in the way of themselves for them. And, the whole Kirk Cousins thing is played out. I saw a stat, and believe it or not, since 2012, Kirk Cousins and Colin Kaepernick have the same amount of touchdowns. I think it's like 72. And actually, I think Kirk's got about 3 more interceptions. So I don't know what that says. I don't think any GM in the right mind right now would take Kaepernick over Cousins because he's been prolific last 2 seasons. It just goes to show you that it would be one of the main things that management would sadly be happy about this year. If Kirk Cousins did not take them to the playoffs and he had a horrible year, then they could say to their fan base, "Look, weren't we smart for not paying him that money?" I mean, can you imagine being in a situation where if things go sour early on your team, you're almost rooting for your quarterback not to have a great season because he's going to be gone at some point, and God bless America that you didn't spend $100 million on him? That is not a great position to be in. They could have had him for much cheaper early. They messed it up, and now he's the only quarterback in NFL history to be playing under a franchise tag for the 2nd straight season.
Well, it was weird watching that game because he certainly did not play well, but it wasn't like anybody played well in that. Like, I was looking for the bright side for Washington. I didn't see it at all.
No, the defense, got off and on the field several times, and I thought that their defense showed a lot more improvement than a year ago. But, the offense, I mean, when you're missing Pierre Garçon and Deshaun Jackson from free agency and you bring in these new guys and Crowder, that offense was what kept them in games last year, what brought them to where they are in a pass-happy, don't kill the quarterback anymore league. And when you can't get that offense going, Bomani, you've got no shot in the NFL. So that doesn't get fixed, and Jay Gruden doesn't call the right plays soon, they're going to have real problems, and I think everybody's job is going to be up for debate.
All right, we're talking to Mike Wise of the Undefeated here on The Right Time. Carmelo Anthony's not happy with the company. I'm not sure if you've heard this, but they got him at number 64 on the NBA rank behind Lonzo Ball. He's not so pleased. Are we too hard on Melo? Because I've come to the point where I went from thinking that we were giving Melo too much credit to like the last 5 years just feeling like we pick on Melo.
I think we've all taken a page from the Phil Jackson scrapbook. It's just piling on right now on Melo. I'm sure Lala's doing it herself somewhere, and it's just sad, and I'm tired of it. And the only thing I'm upset about is that somehow LeVar wasn't ahead of Lonzo. I know LeVar is angry about it tonight. I mean, how do you? Well, really, I should not talk because we got some grief over the top 50 black athletes of all time list that the Undefeated put out, which I was very happy about traffic-wise, but didn't agree with some of the selections. Still, how can you put Lonzo Ball ahead of Carmelo Anthony? He hasn't played an NBA game. Carmelo Anthony has a body of work. I don't understand it.
I was just that lost, and you and I both know Lala just went and bought a Lonzo Ball jersey in size extra small, which will be on Instagram very, very soon. That is my guess. Right. Hey, that's Mike Wise. Correct. Check him out, theundefeated.com. My man, thanks so much. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Bo. Good talking to you.
All right, man. You too. ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Compare rates to help you save. Now, that's Progressive. Call or click today and find out how much Progressive can save you.
The Right Time with Bomani Jones. The Right Time with Bomani Jones.
Last night, Monday Night Football, Adrian Peterson made his New Orleans Saints debut. And interestingly enough, the game was played in his old house in Minnesota. If you haven't heard, here's Bomani on The Right Time discussing Adrian Peterson and why AP, while in Minnesota, still in charge.
first game back in Minnesota. That is his first game back in Minnesota, his first game out of Minnesota, or at least his first game out of a Minnesota Vikings jersey. My man Myron Metcalf was like, you got to remember that the Vikings only won one playoff game when Adrian Peterson was there, so it's not like Emmitt Smith coming back to Dallas. And I'm like, nah, but it's still Adrian Peterson. Like, he's been the face of this franchise in effect for about 10 years. How many all-time players for the Vikings have been better than Adrian Peterson, Shannon? Like, I'm trying to think off the top of my head. Like, I can say the best of Randy Moss is maybe the better than the best of Adrian Peterson, but Adrian Peterson ran for 2,000 yards coming off an ACL tear. Like, who are we putting out here? Like Alan Page? Is that what we talking about? Who we got? Better Vikings than Adrian Peterson? Fran Tarkenton? And Fran Tarkenton kind of, he played for the Giants there for a stretch, so he doesn't, like, entirely belong to them in this way. Like, no, this is a big deal. Adrian Peterson coming back. He didn't play well. 6 carries for 18 yards. None of us really have any idea how good Adrian Peterson still is, because everything would indicate that he's over the hill, except for the fact that you go tell Adrian Peterson that he's over the hill, because I don't think I'm going to be the one to go tell Adrian Peterson that he is over the hill. But we did see Adrian Peterson give Sean Peterson that look, boy. That look. I don't even know how to describe that look. I just know when Adrian Peterson gave me that look, I felt like in my living room, I need to stop doing whatever it was I was doing that made Adrian Peterson look like that and look at me like that. Like, I didn't, like, why do you stop looking at me like that, man? He gave that look to Sean Payton. Sean Payton, I give him this, man. Sean Payton got some gangster in him. Sean Payton gave him that look right back. And yeah, I know Sean Payton been the coach there for a long time. He the man in charge, everything else. Every last one of us, Adrian Peterson give us that look. We're like, hey, come on, AD, everything cool, man? Why you gotta look at me like that?
All right, well, the Saints are trying to avoid going 7-9 for a 4th straight season. Do you think Peterson finishes the season with New Orleans?
I'll be curious, because I don't know if Adrian Peterson enjoys simply being a cog in the machine. I think Adrian Peterson likes being the man. Like, is he really, he doesn't need the money, right? Like, so does he enjoy just being there to get a handful of carries a game? I don't know, bruh.
All right, well, lost in all the Adrian Peterson and Sean Payton talk from last night, we had Sam Bradford. Sam Bradford had arguably his best game as a pro, so kudos to him. And had us thinking about the quarterback situation there in Minnesota, because they still have Teddy Bridgewater. So we asked the question. Our Twitter poll today on the right time on the ESPN Radio Twitter account was, would you take a one-leg Teddy Bridgewater over most of these QBs in the NFL? And I love our listeners, man. 75% said they would take Teddy Bridgewater on one leg over these other QBs.
Yeah, it didn't even have to be most, but damn, that's what I'm saying, man. One-legged Teddy Bridgewater, like, I'm ready to go, coach. I'm ready to go. Throw these crutches on the ground.
All right, in other news, the Lakers made it official. Lakers will be retiring Kobe Bryant's jerseys, not one, but 2. They will retire his 8 and his 24 jerseys at a ceremony on December 18th. Interestingly enough, they'll be hosting the Golden State Warriors that game.
Oh.
Don't know why you would want to host the Warriors when you... Don't you want to win? Like, isn't that like a homecoming game?
Right.
Shouldn't you be like scheduled like Prairie View or somebody?
Benedict. That's what I was about to say. Benedict was the one that was always scheduled in my part of the college world. That's who you scheduled for the homecoming game. Also, this makes me wonder, are the Pacers going to retire both Paul George numbers?
Wow.
Trick question. They're going to retire none of them.
Oh, wow. Nah, well, I'm sure the Heat will retire one of those jerseys. All right. And so we had a Twitter poll. Which number should the Lakers have retired? Just 8, just 24, or both? And 55% of the voters said both.
I got to say, though, there's an argument to be made that he played well enough in each number to have a separate jersey retirement. Are you going to admit that, Shannon?
No, pick one. It's the Lakers. These aren't the Heat. These aren't the Charlotte, the new incarnation of the Charlotte Hornets. These are the Lakers. All right? It's some gravitas that comes with that, all right?
You want multiple rings with both numbers.
Doesn't matter. Pick one. I'm good with either one. Well, actually, I'm not good with either one. 8 was a lot cooler than 24. Well, actually, that's to be debated. Which one was cooler? That should have been the poll. Which one was cooler? 8, Kobe with the afro, or new and improved, self-proclaimed Black Mamba?
The answer was 8 because 24 was just because it was one more than 23, which is lame.
And last but certainly not least, sticking with members of the 1996 NBA draft, Stephon Marbury posted video, said an NBA comeback is on its way. Are you down for this Stephon Marbury coming back to the NBA at 40?
Hey, Vince Carter's still in the league, right?
Well, wow. He is, isn't he?
Yeah.
Sacramento now, right?
And that's the other thing. And going to new teams. And he's 40. I think at least he deserves a tryout, right? Stephon Marbury, he's such a big deal in China. You never know. You sell Chinese, like, cable packages. bottom line, that bread. Yeah, let stuff all come back. It'll make the league more fun. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us here on The Right Time. We do this every weekday, 4 p.m. Eastern. Shannon, Allie, Bubba, thanks so much. Jayla and Jacoby is coming up next.
The Right Time with Bomani